Hi guys, Amanda again, and I'm going to be showing you how to make Corrier's chocolate chip cookie recipe today. I decided to make two different batches of cookies. I'm going to make our puffed cookies and our thin cookies. Already I've shifted together the dry ingredients as well as my fat and sugar in a separate mixing bowl, and already the two ingredients for the two different types of cookies are very different. So for my dry ingredients for my puffed cookies, I used a cake flour, which Corriher states that a cake flour is going to have more protein and then you're going to get less spread and more puff from it. So I used Swan's Down cake flour today. It has about 2 grams of protein per half cup, which isn't a ton, but more than I got for my all-purpose flour in my other recipe. I also used baking powder over baking soda and actually used about 3 times as much baking powder as baking soda in the other recipe, and that, because of the malic acid, is going to expand the cookie a lot more and contribute to less spread. In my thin cookie, I used Great Value all-purpose enriched and bleached flour that has a little bit lower of a protein, and we also used baking soda instead of baking powder, so that's going to contribute to more spread and less puff. Also, they're very different in the two sugars versus fats. So in a large mixing bowl, I mixed fat and the sugars in there. For the puffed cookies, I used shortening. In Corriher, it says you want to either use shortening or a lower fat alternative. I only used 9 tablespoons of butter flavoring Crisco shortening, as opposed to using 10 tablespoons of butter in the thin cookies. So that's going to contribute to more spread in the thin cookies and less spread in the puffed cookies. I also used a cup of brown sugar in the puffed cookies, minus a tablespoon, because it says if you cut down the sugar, then you're going to contribute to less spread. Whether I used in the thin cookies, there you go. I used a whole half cup of granulated sugar on top of 1/3 cup of brown sugar and 10 tablespoons of butter. So now I'm going to take my electric mixer and mix the fat and the sugars till they're light and fluffy, and I'll get back to you then. Okay, so I've beat both of mine till they're light and fluffy. So here's the batter for what's going to be the puffed cookie. You can see it's really light and airy, and here's what it is for the thin cookie. So now I'm going to take my thick cookie, or my puffed cookie, it's my thin cookie, not thick, and add 1 large egg. This, instead of liquid, is going to contribute to less spread, and which makes sense because we know the emulsifying properties from class will probably make that spread out a little bit less. Now I'm going to add, instead of an egg in my thin recipe, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of whole vitamin D milk. Switch that. 1, 2. And now I'm going to add 3 tablespoons of the Schnucks brand of light corn syrup. This makes sense for more spread because we know more sugar, more spread. Maybe that's why I like thin cookies so much more. So after I'm done adding all of this, I'm going to beat both of them thoroughly, and we'll see what they look like then. Nope. Okay, so I've beaten my sugar and my egg and my liquid into different recipes. So this is now the puffed cookies. It's a little bit more wet, which kind of makes sense. It had more, the egg had more of like a moistening effect on the batter than did just the 2 tablespoons of milk. And here's the thin cookies. So now I'm gonna add the dry ingredients slowly into there, and I also added vanilla extract into here. I added a tablespoon each. Same vanilla extract, Great Value from Walmart. Yeah, so now I'm gonna add the dry ingredients, and then I will get back to you and see what it looks like after that. Okay, so I've added my dry ingredients. I added them in about 4 equal parts each and then just mix them in with my electric mixer. So here's my puffy batter and here's my thin cookie batter. So they're about the same. The puffy ones have a little bit of a darker color, but they're in a little bit still wetter, which makes sense because of brown sugar. And these are a little bit lighter. They smell a little bit sweeter, where this one smells more vanilla-y. So now it's time for the best part. We're going to add a cup of Toll House chocolate chips and beat those in there with my spatula that I've already scraped the side of the bowl with. And then my oven is already preheated. I'm going to make them into little cookie balls and stick them in the oven. Okay, so here are my thin cookies before I put them into the oven. My puff cookies are in the fridge right now because Corriher says if you let them cool for a little bit before you put them in the oven, they'll be more puffy, so we're trying that out. As you can see, I made them with just a tablespoon. They're about 2 inches apart on a greased baking sheet. My oven is already preheated, so let's put them in the oven for 12 minutes. Dang it. Okay, so here are my puffy cookies before I put them in the oven. You can see they pretty much look the same, and my thin ones are already done baking. Pretty much exactly what you'd think they'd look like. Definitely very thin, very spread out. They look amazing. To me, this is what a good chocolate chip cookie looks like. So I'm excited to see what they look like when the puffy ones are done. Okay, so my puffy cookies are done. As you can see, I'm trying to get down even with them. Here are my thin cookies. Here are my puffy cookies. They were puffier when they first came out of the oven, but they've gone down a little bit. But you can see that the spread is a lot more on the thin cookies, and the puffy ones are a lot thicker and more round and obviously didn't spread as much. So I would consider this project a success. Now we'll just have to see how they taste. See you guys next week. Thanks.